Hello and welcome to another Star Citizen podcast. I'm your host, BoredGamer. I'm joined by the perfectly lovely Zinnia. Say hello, perfectly lovely Zinnia.
Hello, perfectly lovely Zinnia.
Perfect. We are going to be talking about Star Citizen Alpha 4.1.1, which at time of recording is on the EVOCATI. So we're going to be talking about some of the features with that, and I'll be asking Zin some hard questions about that. They won't be hard, they'll just be your opinions on stuff. We've also got a little bit of update from the roadmap, again, to do with 4.1.1. And I suppose the other main thing I want to be talking about here is a load of spoilers, rumours, and kind of leaks about ships for 4.1.1, Fleet Week, and all that stuff. I suppose these aren't really leaks, they are, at the moment, just rumours. So, Zin, how you doing?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to 4.1.1 going to wider PTU, which is supposed to be early this week. I'm not sure if you've messed around much with 4.1.1, if at all at the moment, but it has some, or at least had some, pretty major blockers and stability issues, which is the reason it's still with EVOCATI. They need a build or two to iron some of this stuff out before it goes to wider PTU. People are asking, why isn't it going to wider PTU? That's why. It goes to larger waves as soon as they're ready to test more stuff, and the patch only contains a fraction or a small portion of all of the intended features, and even those intended features are not fully implemented in that patch. So yeah, let me talk about this. The patch looks like it focuses almost entirely or largely on ship combat missions.
Okay.
You've got Ship Battle Missions V1 Part 1, is what the feature listing was in the patch. So this is new sets of missions featuring ship combat. Missions are going to have improved scenario design, leverage all the new technology. They want better scenarios, better missions with higher levels of polish and detail than they've ever done before. What do you think about that in theory?
Yeah, in theory, it sounds good.
Do you think that means that they have to bring all of the old missions up to that standard?
Eventually, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. All new missions will be at the gold standard for missions, and the old ones that they want to keep will be brought into the new standard probably relatively easily now. It depends on what mission it is, but you'll see from patch to patch, from each of these monthly patches now, some more and more missions I would expect getting the gold standard treatment. Do you think that's probably what they're going for?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things they talked about in the roadmap roundup recently was some of these missions they've got for 4.1.1 and beyond. So they've got patrol missions. You go through a series of patrol points and you run into objectives and encounters and that sort of stuff. We've had those sort of missions in the game very early on in the Star Citizen's persistent universe, and then now they're making a comeback. And the other set of missions that they've been working on are ambush missions. Players will set traps and wait, and then ambush high-value targets as they pass by. That sort of stuff, does that excite you for combat missions? Is that the sort of stuff you want to see from combat missions? Because it does look like this is very PvE orientated for the patch.
Yeah, I mean, I like the patrol mission.
Yeah?
I don't think I'd want to do ambush missions, though.
More things to do, more mission choices, always going to be good, right, for different players.
Mm-hmm.
I like the focus at PvE at the moment because that makes a bit more sense. Yes, I want PvP in Star Citizen, but I want it in the right time and right place. And as they expand out more and more of these features and more of the ship combat and engineering and stuff like that, then they'll be able to get PvP in and balanced more readily. Obviously, there is a level of PvP in, but I'm fine with them focusing in some patches on PvE rather than PvP. That certainly appears to be what's going on here. One of the other things that I really liked with this patch was the ghillie combat missions. So these are supposed to be pilot training missions. Do you know who ghillie is?
Nope.
So, this is before your time. They had a tutorial in Star Citizen, which was ship combat. And you could spawn in with ghillie. He was effectively an NPC, and he talked to you. You got into your ship, you flew out of your hangar, and you did some combat stuff. And he was talking you through it.
Okay.
So, what they've done for this is not a tutorial. These missions that he gives, I think there's 8 at the moment, and you progress to each one. They are a series of challenges and ship versus ship combat sort of missions that are pretty difficult, that are intended for people that have played Star Citizen or can play Star Citizen a bit, but don't necessarily do much ship combat, or someone that wants to improve their ship versus ship combat. And they're cool. They are the kind of missions that I want to see for all aspects of the game, all roles in game, going, you want to learn a bit more about doing this kind of mission, this kind of gameplay? It's a set of missions that will get progressively harder, that will teach you a load about that gameplay mechanic and the sort of what you can expect from different scales of missions within that. Zin and I will be doing these and talking about these missions in the future. They are a bit broken at the moment, and they haven't been fully balanced. Some of them work, but the main part of 4.1.1 on EVOCATI at the moment is actually to test the ghillie combat mission stuff. But what do you think of that for general teaching you the game beyond a standard tutorial?
I think it's good. I think it'll probably be useful for someone like me who thinks they know what they're doing but probably doesn't know what they're doing. I
mean, they're hugely useful for me as well. And especially, I suppose, if you're coming back to Star Citizen as well. Because a load of stuff has changed and combat is changed and will continue to change. So it'll be interesting to see how these evolve. Although they're not hugely hand-holdy missions. They are a bit more sort of like, oh, you can explore ways to complete this objective.
Well, it might just give you a point of view that you hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, and they're pretty difficult. They genuinely are. I know some people are going to be like, no, it's super easy. That's probably because you're reasonably good at flying or combat. I am bad, and I suspect a lot of other people are bad, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of you might be industrial pilots, or just not great at Star Citizen ship combat because it keeps on changing from patch to patch, and you don't play constantly. But I'm just saying I'm bad. Zin's bad as well.
Not as bad as you.
Maybe not as well, not for time invested, I tell you that. Do you think that 4.1.1 is going to be the Fleet Week patch as well? Let me explain a bit more what I mean by that. Because Fleet Week is probably going to start mid-May, and 4.1.1 is probably going to come out at the end of April. Do you think we'll see a mini patch for Fleet Week? Do you think that actually technically the Fleet Week content is in 4.1.1? Do you think we'll see 4.1.2 with Fleet Week? Or do you think they don't need to release a patch every month? What do you think's going to happen here? Or what do you think could happen?
Well, for one, they kind of have to release a patch every month because that's what they said they were going to do.
From what CIG said, it's going to be a mostly monthly patch cadence. I don't think they're going to release a patch every month. I think they'll try. I think there are some, like, for example, I think in May, they could just have a very mini patch with just Fleet Week content in it. And that would be the May patch. Do you see what I mean?
No. Well, I see what you mean, but I don't agree.
So, because I don't think they can have Fleet Week and then at the end of May get another patch out.
Why not?
Well, I just think it's fitting too much in. I mean, maybe they can. Maybe they can.
I mean, they haven't got April's out yet.
They haven't got April's out yet. Would you be okay with them if they delayed April's until Fleet Week for 2 weeks? Or do you think, nah, that's unlikely to happen, nor would I like them to do that?
I don't know. As I said before, they can do what they want to do, but I'm pretty sure they've said that they're aiming for monthly patches, so that's what they should aim for.
Yeah. I do think they're aiming for monthly patches. I feel that they said that it was going to be mostly monthly patches.
But they could release end of April and have some stuff in there for Fleet Week, and then have a mini patch for Fleet Week that basically unlocks things and adds all the extra bits that they need. Yeah,
that's my actual expectation now, thinking about it. But I think that would be the patch for May, and that would effectively be 4.1.2. But
the thing is, if they're not working towards stability with that patch, then I couldn't see that as the May patch.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. What it is that I don't know how they're going to approach that. It might be that they approach it exactly the same and just do monthly patches still, but it might be, well, actually, Fleet Week is a little bit different. I always like to know your sort of views on that. So yeah, I think Fleet Week's probably going to start 15th, 16th of May, sort of around that area. It'll be running for like 10 days, 2 weeks sort of range. And I don't think they need to release a patch every month, at least not exactly at the end of the month every month. It'd be nice for them to try. That is basically what they suggested they were going to be doing. But interested to know what other people think. Obviously, 4.1.1 sort of focuses on ship combat, which makes sort of sense just before Fleet Week, right? And just before a free fly. They're in good stead. They've got all the parts to be able to make a very successful free fly event. So typically what happens around Fleet Week is they have a free fly and the servers break or they get overburdened because they release like a new patch and they have a load of people trying the game out for the first time and the servers get bombarded or there's a problem. And yeah, so hopefully this year that won't be the case. They'll just have a successful patch. Do you think that's possible, or do you think we are cursed, at least in the short term, to have everything break?
I think everything's going to break. Wasn't the previous free fly cancelled?
Oh, do you know what? There was one that was cancelled, wasn't there? Or delayed.
I think it was cancelled.
Yeah, we had one that was delayed or cancelled because of stability problems. But this is the year of playability, and if they are working on Fleet Week stuff now, they've got a good amount of time to be able to get the game into hopefully a good enough state. I mean, they're not adding loads of new features. It is just content and trying to get the game more playable. So one of the other things we saw was a little sneak peek in the newsletter of these big silver bars. This looks like physical currency to a degree that I think you're basically going to be able to trade this stuff in for loot from certain factions.
Yeah, it kind of looks like gold press latinum.
I think that it may have been influenced by that.
I'm wondering if it's Banu.
Oh, like an origin. Yeah, I see what you mean. I understand what you mean. Well, so I think this is going to be stuff for some of the mercenary guilds and things like that that's going on. Maybe it does originate from Banu, or this is some of their trade materials or currency. Maybe
because the symbols on it's not English.
I can't see the symbol very well. It could just be the symbol for an organisation or a guild or something as well. But I think you're just going to be able to trade these in effectively for stuff from potentially Wicklow or some of the other factions in the game. Maybe it will be kind of more cargo-y, but yeah, I suspect it's going to be a trade commodity or trade it in for loot. Do you like the idea of a PvE focus patch this time around?
Yeah.
And do you think that's what it is? Do you think that's what we're getting?
Maybe, yeah, I guess so.
And do you think we'll see any evolution of item recovery in this patch? That's sort of been more of the hot topics recently. People being like, item recovery is really bad for PvP gameplay or whatever. People want it to evolve because a lot of people were like, oh, it will evolve really quickly. We'll see an evolution of it in the next patch. I don't think we really will because, as I said, I think this is much more focused on PvE. I think that item recovery is working pretty well for PvE.
I don't know. They haven't said anything about it, have they? So I don't think we're going to get any update yet.
No, I mean, yeah, I suppose they'll try and fix bugs and iron out stuff with it. One of the other major things I want to talk about are spoiler warning stuff. If you do not want to know any spoilers, and I say spoilers, this is more rumours for 4.1.1 or Fleet Week 4.1.2, stuff that CIG are potentially working on for ships and vehicles. And I'm going to ask Zin some of her thoughts on some of these ships and vehicles and whether or not she thinks that they're a good idea or actually turning up. So we've got the Starlancer TAC. That's almost certainly going to be turning up in 4.1.1 or Fleet Week. It's a combat-focused variant of the Starlancer. We know from the monthly report that it's in final development. Yeah, you expecting to see that real soon?
Don't see if it's ready to come out, then yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
If it's combat focused, yeah.
Exactly that. It's combat focused or logistics focused. That's going to be turning up. There's a load of rumours, and people think that the Anvil Paladin's going to be turning up. So this is the heavy gunship that they concepted. Was it the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo last year?
I don't know.
Anvil. I'm going to have to check. It was announced November 30th. So yeah, Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So yeah. Heavy gunship from Anvil. Super focused gunship. Relatively small. Loads of forward-facing weaponry. More tanky, more gunny than the Redeemer. I really like the idea of it. Do we think that there's a possibility that this could actually be coming out for 4.1.1 or Fleet Week? Because we haven't heard much about it beyond it being in concept from Fleet Week. But I suppose they sort of go into production straight away from then. Yeah,
I don't know. Couldn't say.
It's just an interesting one. It'd be nice if it was because it's a cool combat-focused ship. I think that's where a lot of the rumours come from. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it being in the game, and it makes sense that it might turn up. Do you think there's room for another gunship in the game? I suppose there's room for a few, right?
Yeah.
What about, do you like the Mirai Guardian? That sort of hybrid Mirai ship?
Fat Fury?
The Fat Fury?
Not really.
Okay, well, there's maybe a variant that you might like more. You might not like it at all. There's maybe an MX variant, a heavy missile variant in the works, which sort of makes sense. CIG said they were working on some variants of ships that are going to be released relatively soon. That sort of lines up with our expectations for 4.1.1 or Fleet Week. I suppose you would just be like, do you think that's possible? It is possible, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
Makes sense.
We've not heard anything about it, have we?
Not beyond rumour.
Yeah.
And not from my normal CIG sources for rumours. So this is an interesting one. So a lot of people are talking about the Anvil Asgard. This is potentially, well, apparently it's going to be a heavy transporter. I don't know if this is going to be a ship or a vehicle. If it's a vehicle, it would probably be based on like the Anvil blister chassis. Because we sort of saw some of this at CitizenCon. People are saying that it's probably going to be a heavy transport logistics ship or a ground assault almost ship for bringing almost like the Crusader Hercules kind of thing.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be, so you actually mean it's based on the Atlas platform?
It's based on the Atlas platform. I specifically didn't say Atlas just because we're going to be talking about the ATLS combat suit in a minute.
Yeah, but unfortunately that is what it's called.
It is the Atlas platform.
I mean, it might be because sometimes they like to mess up their naming scheme, but the Atlas platform has the names of all the vehicles that are on that are all Roman based, whereas Asgard is not. That's Norse. It's
Norse. No, you're right.
But they have said previously, like one of the ships they were doing recently, it's their namings, they'll just have a pool of names essentially and go for what they like best. It doesn't necessarily have to follow a rule.
Yeah, exactly, because companies evolve in the real world as well, right? And different designers will be making different choices or whatever. It'll be interesting to see exactly what this is. And obviously with all of these spoiler warnings and leaks and rumours or whatever, they are just that at this stage. They could change heavily. They may be totally incorrect or wildly inaccurate, so bear that in mind. But I like the idea. I'm not sure if this is going to be a ship or a vehicle or neither. So one of the other things which I found interesting was a Greycat MTC, a military spec mobile tactical centre.
What?
I don't know what this is other than probably the silhouette of that Greycat looking vehicle that we saw at CitizenCon. And this could be like a mobile base. It could be like a scanning thing. It could be some sort of modular vehicle. I don't really know what role it fills. I mean, it could be e-warfare or scrambling or extended communications range. It could be a load of different things. I say if I was playing like PlanetSide 2, it would be like one of the respawn vehicles, but you have that with the medical stuff, right? It's not. It's unlikely to be a medical vehicle. I mean, maybe it could be. Do you have any idea what this could be? I'm assuming you're as confused as I am.
Yeah, never heard of it. Don't know.
Yeah, mobile tactical centre. Don't 100% know what that's going to be. But it could be for planning and scanning and helping coordinate stuff. It could be super modular. The ATLS combat suit. This was originally teased at Wickelow's Emporium, Sin. Do you think we could see these for Fleet Week, or do you think that they would just teasing them and they're going to be a while away?
No, I think it's possible to see them. However, I don't want to see them.
You don't want to see those ones?
No.
Is it because they looked a bit derpy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just want a functional Titan suit. We'll see what happens. I'm fine with them being like re-outfitted civilian versions. I'd like to see a better looking military one. So yeah, that was sort of most of the rumours, however wild, I'd heard for Fleet Week and that sort of stuff. We'll have to wait and see how viable those are. Something I did actually want to ask you, do you like the idea of most, if not all, of the large ships getting some level of PDCs, the auto-firing defence weapons for shooting missiles, torpedoes, and to an extent, like smaller things like fighters?
Maybe if all the stations aren't manned.
So they'd be effectively auto-firing to give you a level of defence against missiles from larger ships. If you're in a Reclaimer, for example, and I actually think the Reclaimer is supposed to have these from the original concept, I just think that if you've got a large ship or something that's near capital size, you kind of need these to not just get hosed by torpedoes and missiles. And even if there's just very basic and just take out some of them, you just want a level of protection, which I think's a good idea. I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that were.
I mean, maybe for something like the Reclaimer, because it's not designed as a fighting ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you've got a fully manned big ship that is designed for combat, then you should be having people shooting these things down.
Interesting. I would have hoped that combat ships would have been more likely to have PDCs. But I see what you mean as well.
But the thing is, I mean, obviously they're going to have some level of inaccuracy, because otherwise what's the point of having missiles or torpedoes?
Yeah, because the PDCs just shoot them all down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose one of the things is you want to be able to overburden them. They are going to be have power requirements. You're going to be sending fighters in to deal with potentially the PDCs, right, as well, and firing close with maybe PDCs don't shoot very close range like bombers and stuff. But I'm interested to see how this all plays out when we have engineering and proper capital ship combat and targeting subsystems a bit better and that sort of stuff. And PDCs are a big part of that, as are the AI blades and semi-autonomous systems that you might have with your ships and countermeasures. But I just saw lots of people talking about giving larger ships make sure they have PDCs, and I'm not necessarily against that. I just don't want them, as you said, to be, PDCs to shoot everything down really easily. Because, you don't want that, because that would be lame. What's the point? What do you think about there not being any CIG shows for the last 2 weeks?
Bloody cop-out.
Yeah? Do you expect maybe like a week off sometimes? Because the monthly patch cadence has changed what they can show and what they have available to show for Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live. And obviously they've got the behind the ships videos as well. Do you think, actually they should plan it so we get at least a weekly video, and they probably can do that?
Yes, probably.
Yeah. I think I kind of agree with you. I think that there's so much going on with development of Squadron and Star Citizen, and I would like to see regular updates in video format from Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live. I sort of understand that they want to have hiatuses occasionally, but no more than a week is what I'd want to see. I'm always going to be greedy for content though, so I'm always going to want more. And some people might be like, no, it's fine. They need to take this time off, or it's not viable for them to. But I'm still going to want more. I'm just saying that's my point of view. Tell us what you think in the comments down below. You don't have to agree with us. Tell us what you think about those ships and vehicles. Do you expect to see all of them, some of them, in 4.1.1 or Fleet Week or 4.1.2? Are you expecting to see something else or something more? Are you excited by 4.1.1? Have you been playing with it on the EVOCATI? What's your experiences of that? And do you think we're going to get this out by the end of April? And do you want to see monthly patches every month? Or do you think some months we might not see them this year because of reasons? Anything else you want to say, Zin?
Nope.
Well, I think there is, because what's the giveaway this month, Zin?
Oh, we're giving away 3 Drake Golems.
Oh, to who are we giving them to?
To 3 lucky winners who have commented on videos made during the month of April.
Oh, yes, that's exactly right. They also come with lifetime insurance and a game package. One of them was given to us by CIG. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, comment on any of our videos made during April for a chance of winning that. There's loads of other stuff going down on below. You can rearrange those words so they make sense. They've got affiliate links and stuff, like to NordVPN, best on VPN we've ever advertised on the channel. We've got THRUSTMASTER links. We've got links to Game Glass, which is currently, I believe, still running a promotion. Check those out. Click those links. Helps out the channel. We get a little kickback. You get some products and stuff that you like. They'll like them, won't they, Zin?
Oh, they'll love them.
Oh, well, probably. Probably love them. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great rest of your day. And say goodbye, Zin.
Goodbye, Zin.
Thanks for watching. Tell us in the comments below what you think. Love you, bye.